Honourable members, please be seated. Honourable members, we will now deal with the third bill, and I now call upon the Minister for Finance, Commerce and Business Development, the Honourable Eskom Emmanuel, to move his motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Resolution of Parliament on Thursday, 7th August 2025, and the communication from the Chair on Monday, 29th September 2025, I move that the Credit Union Bill 2025 be debated, voted upon, and be passed.
Here is their seconder.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Honourable Lord Philippe Thussau, seconder. Honourable members, please take note that pursuant to Resolution of Parliament on Thursday, 7th of August 2025, and the communication from the Chair on Monday, 29th of September 2025, the debate on the bill will be limited to 2 hours. So I now call on the Honourable Minister to speak on his motion.
Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, the journey to this point has been more than a decade in the making. The Credit Union Act of 1954, though foundational in its time, no longer serves the needs of our modern financial system. Since the IMF's 2006 Financial Sector Assessment Program, Fiji has been encouraged to review and strengthen its credit union framework to protect members, improve governance, and support financial inclusion. The Reserve Bank's own assessments, together with the industry calls for reform, confirm the urgency for change. The evidence is clear, Mr. Speaker, sir. Although more than 400 credit unions have been registered in Fiji over the past decades, only 17 remain active today. This steep decline from 400 in 2008 to just 17 in 2025 signals systemic weaknesses that cannot be ignored. Asset growth has stagnated, governance gaps persist, and the absence of modern supervision has exposed members to unnecessary risk. Without legislative reform, the decline will continue. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill provides the solution. It introduces a modern, comprehensive framework that strengthens governance, embeds sound risk management practices, expands permitted services, and crucially, transfers oversight to the Reserve Bank of Fiji. For the first time, credit unions will operate under clear regulatory structure with prudential safeguards to protect members' funds and enhance stability. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, the bill before this House today is stronger because of the work of the Standing Committee on Economic Affairs. The committee undertook extensive public consultations across the country, inviting credit unions, government agencies, unions, school managements, and businesses, and also the public to provide written and oral submissions. They ensured that every credit union, large or small, had the opportunity to be heard. The committee's review report highlighted key concerns from stakeholders, and I wish to acknowledge them directly. Firstly, the committee observed concerns around potential overregulation or micromanagement. Let me assure this House that the Reserve Bank's oversight will be risk-based and proportionate, especially for smaller credit unions. Secondly, the committee highlighted that the bill must better reflect the capacity differences between larger and smaller credit unions. This is a valid point, and transitional arrangements will be designed to ensure no credit union is unfairly burdened during implementation. Thirdly, the committee noted concerns around income taxation for credit unions. While the suggestion is for credit unions to be tax exempt, this needs to be aligned to the Income Tax Act to ensure there is a level playing field for all. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee's bipartisan approach has enriched this bill and ensured that the interests of members remain at the heart of the reform. The bill is not about restricting credit unions, it's about empowering them, enabling growth, restoring public confidence, and placing them on a firm and sustainable footing so they can continue serving ordinary working families across Fiji. Mr. Speaker, sir, the state of the sector demands decisive actions. The reform in this bill will modernize the credit union industry, deepen financial inclusion, protect members' savings, and strengthen financial stability. It is time that Fiji's credit unions are governed by a framework that matches today's financial realities, not those of 70 years ago. With those remarks, Honourable Speaker, I support the motion. Naka.
I thank the Minister of Finance, the Honourable Astro Emmanuel. Honourable members, the floor is now open for debate on the motion. I have a list of speakers with me. Each of the speakers is entitled to 10 minutes. I first call on the Honourable M. Chan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise in support of Bill number 29 of 2025, the Credit Union Bill, which seeks to repeal the Credit Unions Act 1954 and replace it with a modern, comprehensive, and robust legal framework governing the establishment, regulation, and supervision of credit unions in Fiji. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill is an essential reform because it recognizes the significant evolution of the financial landscape over the past 7 decades. The 1954 Act, while foundational in its time, no longer provides the safeguards, clarity, or regulatory capacity required in today's complex financial environment. The current bill, therefore, introduces much needed modernization that will strengthen public confidence, promote financial stability, and support the long-term sustainability of credit unions as key contributors to financial inclusion. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to outline some core reasons why this bill is timely, necessary, and worthy of this House's support. The bill introduces a clear, structured, and transparent licensing regime for both newly formed and existing credit unions. Section 10 to 13 set out criteria that assess governance capacity, financial viability, membership base, and internal systems. This ensures that every credit union operating in Fiji is sound, accountable, and capable of protecting members' savings. This reform ensures that credit unions are built on a strong foundation from day one. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the most commendable aspects of the bill is it emphasizes on good governance. It establishes clear responsibilities for boards and committees, mandatory fit and proper assessment for directors, internal controls and supervisory oversight, and structured decision-making process. These measures are not burdens, they are protections. They safeguard members from mismanagement, conflicts of interest, and abuse of authority. They bring credit unions in line with international cooperative standards and ensure that members' funds are entrusted to capable and ethical leadership. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill provides Fiji with a credit union system that is resilient and future-ready. It introduces minimum capital and liquidity requirements, reserve allocations, standards for asset quality. Mr. Speaker, sir, these measures strengthen the financial stability of credit unions, giving their members confidence that their savings are protected and that the institution is capable of withstanding economic shocks. Mr. Speaker, Fiji will have a legislation that provides a full supervisory cycle for credit unions. The Reserve Bank is empowered to monitor compliance, issue directives when necessary, and intervene in situations where members' interests are at risk. Particularly important are the provisions on controllership, statutory management, and structured liquidation procedures. These mechanisms ensure that when difficulties arise, they are managed transparently and in a way that prioritizes members' rights and financial safety. The old Act provided very limited resource in these situations, leaving members vulnerable. Mr. Speaker, this bill is not merely regulatory, it is enabling. By setting clear rules, strengthening governance, and aligning credit unions with global standards, the bill creates an environment where credit unions can grow confidently, expand their reach, and attract more members. For rural communities, workers and low-income earners who rely on credit unions on accessible financial services, this bill is a significant step toward greater financial empowerment. Mr. Speaker, the Credit Union Bill 2025 is a decisive reform that replaces a 70-year-old law with a framework that is modern, principled, protective, and growth-oriented. It strengthens governance, enhances accountability, protects member funds, and positions credit unions as credible and resilient players in the national financial system. Mr. Speaker, I am confident that this bill will elevate the credit union sector and contribute positively to Fiji's broader financial stability and economic development. Mr. Speaker, I support this bill. Thank you.
I thank the Honorable Hemchand. I next call on the Honorable Kamkamida.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the Credit Union Bill of 2025. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record, Honorable Speaker, again, we have in front of us, for the people of Fiji, a bill that was done in 1954, and this side of the House is now bringing to Parliament for its approval a comprehensive bill that will ensure that in the years to come, the credit unions of this country are not neglected and have a legal modern framework in which to operate. And I wish to thank the committee particularly that worked hard to bring this to this House. And if anything, Honorable Speaker, I can confidently say that this side of the House has taken hold of the reform agenda for Fiji, and we are making it happen, Honorable Speaker. Just in jest, I always remember when we started in this House, I used to sit directly opposite Honorable Pramila Kumar, and she used to say, "Where's the bills?" and shake her head. The bills are here, Honorable Speaker. The bills are here. And we have a lot more to do. There'll be more bills coming through very shortly, Honorable Speaker. And so this side of the House can confidently say to the people of Fiji that we are reforming some of the outdated, antiquated, irrelevant laws that have existed in Fiji for quite some time. Honorable Speaker, very briefly, the bill is actually an excellent bill because it covers the whole regime that's required to actually manage credit unions. And just like banks, Honorable Speaker, they are responsible for maintaining the deposits of their members. And this bill allows or ensures that those deposits are no longer at risk, that they are supervised by the banking regulator of this country or the financial regulator of this country. There will be adequate oversight over the credit unions to ensure that going forward, the credit unions maintain sustainable and relevant, and that issues around good governance and so forth are protected and enhanced. Honorable Speaker, there are provisions in here, for example, for licensing, as mentioned by Honorable Hemchan. And what I particularly like is the focus on fit and proper conditions. So in other words, Honorable Speaker, you have to be a fit and proper person before you are in charge of a credit union in terms of the board and its management. And that is an excellent advance forward for this country, because it will ensure that the governance framework for another critical sector in our economy remains well governed. Honorable Speaker, finally, two other points to make. One, I do note that the cooperatives that are also credit unions are sort of in this bill, and they will have to be licensed as well, which is excellent, which brings all credit unions under one regulation, and also ensures that all credit unions are well managed. The most successful credit union, which is a cooperative that comes to mind, is of course the FTU credit union, and also the FTA credit union, Honorable Speaker, which are models of economic success in this country. And I'm proud to say that we've been working particularly with the FTA credit union, and this will definitely enhance what they're endeavoring to do in terms of their members. And finally, Honorable Speaker, just perhaps as a hopeful comment to particularly the Minister of Finance, another area that we probably need to look at in terms of governance would be hire purchase companies, Honorable Speaker. And that is probably something that we can maybe look at as a parliament in the future, to just ensure that the levels of scrutiny and governance over our financing sector, be it a bank, a credit union, and even a hire purchase company, that the equal scrutiny and detailed scrutiny is applied across these types of entities. So with those few words, Honorable Speaker, I fully support this credit union bill, and we do own, Honorable Speaker, the reform agenda of this country. Nagasaka.
I thank the Honorable Kamkamida. I will now invite our next speaker, the Honorable Pius Koya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I just want to give credit where credit is due. 36 months, today's the day we've got 7 bills in the House, but who's counting? Nobody, sir. We're actually commending this bill, and there's support for this bill. I think it's very important, as spelled out by the earlier speakers, there's been some half a century that has gone in terms of the old law that was in place. Obviously, a lot has developed since that particular time, and it needed it because it was considerably slow in terms of the legal framework and it hasn't kept pace with what has actually gone on. So I think the bill was actually designed also from a model law, which is contained in the actual bill, that was developed by the World Council of Credit Unions, and the expertise from the Reserve Bank has actually helped us to get it to this particular stage. Some of the objectives in terms of the provision of the bill, they set an overarching goal was to maintain public confidence and in credit unions and doing business in PG throughout promoting the soundness and throughout actually promoting the soundness of the financial system. This is important, Honourable Speaker, because the credit unions here are quite busy, it needed some more guidance because, as I said earlier, the laws were quite old. Honourable Speaker, some of the salient features proposed by the Reserve Bank and in the bill was that the Reserve Bank actually be the regulatory and supervisory authority for credit unions, conducting credit union business in PG, like financial institutions, credit unions also. They manage a substantial amount of funds. So it's actually important that they get regulated, especially in light of the fact that the financial landscape nowadays has changed with a lot that has happened. So this is actually needed and sorely needed. And also in terms of the members and the requirement that there be some kind of supervision by a knowledgeable external agency, and who better than the Reserve Bank itself. It also, what does it presents the processes for applicants who want to register and their interest in actually opening a credit union license, and a lot of things that need to be met before you actually get or maintain a particular license. Honorable Speaker, also I think it also provides for the establishment of the role of the Credit Union League and outlines its functions. So it can be carrying out for its members, the credit unions, for example, pooling the funds for investments, etc. All of that will be regulated within this act, and it's actually important. I think anybody and everybody who wants to be part of it or is going to be looking at credit unions probably needs to read this bill comprehensively to find out what can be done, what can't be done, etc. And also the powers and the scope and activities and responsibilities of the League are actually detailed within the Constitution of that particular credit union, and that must be approved by the Reserve Bank. So it's a lot of authority that the Reserve Bank holds. I think it's important in a small country like ours that they oversee such an operation. Also provides for the offenses that are created offenses against the credit union or personnel employed by the credit union. I'm talking about stuff like defamation and disclosure of confidential information. That those points are very important, and that they need to be legislated against. And also in terms of investments and without following the correct procedures, etc. So that's also covered quite well in the bill itself, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, lastly, it also provides for a number of standard provisions for credit unions, including exemption of income tax. It's actually important for credit unions, a requirement to comply with Financial Transactions Reporting Act of 2012, and that's important as a requirement for all financial institutions. All up, Honorable Speaker, just in short, it's a welcome piece of legislation. I think it's very timely that it does happen, because it is credit unions are institutions that are of great use to a lot of Fijians, and it's important that we get the right guidance, and the Reserve Bank is the right authority to regulate it and oversee the operations. And we support the bill before the House, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank the Honorable Koya. Our last speaker is the Minister and Acting Attorney, Honorable Suranga.
Speaker, sir, I rise to contribute to the debate on the Credit Union Bill 2025 and to address several key questions relating to the current state of credit unions and the mandate of the Registrar of Credit Unions. According to a data held by the Registrar of Credit Unions, Fiji currently has 400 credit unions registered under the existing Credit Union Act of 1954. However, to date, only 17 remain operational. These numbers reflect not only a dramatic decline in activity, but also structural weaknesses inherent in the existing regulatory framework. Under the Act, the Registrar of Credit Union, housed within the Ministry of Justice, holds responsibility for registration and basic administrative oversight. However, the Act does not provide for modern, prudent supervision, risk management standards, governance requirements, or enforcement powers. The registrar mandate is limited and does not align with the complexities of today's financial landscape. The Ministry of Justice, by its nature, is not positioned to function as a financial regulator, resulting in capacity constraints that hinder effective supervision and compliance monitoring. Mr. Speaker, sir, several operational legal issues have arisen as a result of this outdated framework. The inability to enforce compliance meaningfully has contributed to a large number of dormant credit unions. Reviews conducted in partnership with the Reserve Bank of Fiji and the International Monetary Fund identify systematic risk in governance, internal audit, loan classification, liquidity management, and other financial activities. These risks cannot be adequately addressed under the current Act, leaving members, ordinary Fijian families, exposed to vulnerabilities that should no longer be tolerated in a modern financial system. For these reasons, Mr. Speaker, the proposed transfer of registration and supervisory functions from the Ministry of Justice to the Reserve Bank is both timely and necessary. The reform is not about burdening small community institutions. It is about safeguarding member funds, supporting financial inclusion, ensuring that credit unions can grow into a stable, trustworthy financial vehicles for ordinary Fijians. The Credit Union Bill 2025 represents years of review, consultation, and expert technical input, including from the IMF's Pacific Financial Technical Assistance Center. It is a bill grounded in evidence, informed by international best practice, and tailored specifically to Fiji's circumstances. In closing, Mr. Speaker, this bill provides the legal and institutional foundation required to revitalize the credit union sector. It strengthens governance, enhances risk management, and empowers credit unions to serve their members better. Ultimately, it contributes to a more inclusive, stable, resilient financial system foundation. Mr. Speaker, sir, I support the bill and commend it to the House. Navali.
I thank the Minister and Acting Attorney, Honorable Turanga. I now call upon the Minister of Finance, Honorable Emmanuel, to exercise his right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I wish to thank all the speakers on the bill. And at the outset, I heard that there wasn't any key burning objection or question to any part of the bill. And apart from Honorable Kumkamida's request to look at the higher purchase or financing sector of the financial industry. However, the Ministry of Finance is aware of the same, and that's the next issue that we will attend to. So I think we all agree to the amendments and the changes and the inclusion therein. So with those comments, Mr. Speaker, sir, I urge all members to support the motion.
Thank you. I thank the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Emmanuel. The Parliament will now vote. The question is pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Thursday, 7th of August 2025, and the communication from the Chair on Monday, 29th of September 2025, that the Credit Union Bill 2025 be debated, voted upon, and be passed. Does any member oppose the motion? No member opposes the motion. The motion is agreed to unanimously. Secretary General.
A bill for an act to provide for the repeal of the Credit Unions Act 1954 and for the regulation of credit union business and related matters enacted by the Parliament of the Republic of Fiji.
We'll move on, honorable members. We will now deal with the fourth bill, and now we'll call upon the Minister of Health and Medical Services, the Honorable Dr. Ratu Antonio Lalambalavu, to move his motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Thursday, 2nd of October 2025, I move that the Burial and Cremations Bill 2025 be debated, voted upon, and be passed.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
The Leader of the Government in the House, a seconder. I now call on the Honorable Minister to speak on his motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I thank you for this opportunity to speak on the bill. Try and be brief as possible in terms of the build-up to the bill in all its entirety, from the work done by the ministry, and I must also thank the standing committee that looked after the bill, taking it out for submissions, second round of submissions, and as well as coming in into the current form as we are debating on. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, in terms of the bill itself, it's an outdated bill, 1911, and as such, a modernized and Burial and Cremation Act would strengthen public health protection, support financial sustainability, and integrate new technologies and ensure that all burials and cremation facilities operate under a unified contemporary regulatory framework. That I've said much yesterday, Mr. Speaker, sir, on the bill, and I know we'll have the full support of the other members, and commend the bill to the House and fully support it, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thanks, the Honourable Minister. Honourable members, the floor is now open for debate on the motion. I have a list of speakers with me. I first call on the Honourable Parveen Bala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise today to briefly speak on the Burial and Cremation Amendment Bill 2025. While my colleagues and I acknowledge the importance of updating a century-old act from 1911, and at the outset, we want to say that we support the amendments within this bill. Mr. Speaker, sir, we see this as any government's duty of care, and I thank the Honourable Minister for bringing this. Mr. Speaker, sir, death touches us all and every community. Speaker, sir, our duty to the dead is a fundamental measure of our humanity and our unity as a nation. Speaker, sir, we need to give our people the dignity, give them the respect, give them the essential services that are their right. Honor the departed by truly serving the living. Mr. Speaker, sir, apart from the amendments, there are some associated issues that also needs to be addressed. Mr. Speaker, sir, sometimes we see our public cemeteries, the final resting places of our loved ones are overgrown and neglected. Roads leading to the burial grounds, especially in our rural areas, become impassable during rains. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we are discussing our burial grounds, the amendments, as Honourable Minister has stated, we request special capital project grants to timely upgrade the cemetery access roads and the entire upkeep of our cemeteries. Our dead deserves a peaceful, accessible place, Mr. Speaker, sir. We also suggest a budgeted plan for the complete upgrade and maintenance of all our mortuaries in the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, we should also have a clear roadmap with timelines for developing modern cremators via public-private partnership in all the divisions. And I hope that in future, as this bill has been brought, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm very hopeful that in future we will have a similar type of bills to address these issues that has not been attended to. Mr. Speaker, sir, just for the information of the House, in 2017 a facility was built in Batuanga, and during the groundbreaking ceremony, it was announced that the similar facility will be constructed in Nasori, Lotoka, and in the Northern Division. Mr. Speaker, said these facilities was constructed to carry out the rituals. And I hope, as I've said earlier on, that the Minister concerned will take note of it and will inform this House in future sittings on these developments. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, say, while we are approaching the festive seasons, may I also take this opportunity to wish you, Mr. Speaker, say, and the staffs of Parliament, the Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, and the Honourable members of this Parliament, the very best wishes for the festive season. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank the Honourable Bala. I next call on the Assistant Minister, Honourable Rao now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to speak in support of the Burial and Cremation Amendment Bill 2025, with particular focus on Section 2, which introduces a vital new definition in the Principal Act. Mr. Speaker, the Burial and Cremation Act was enacted in 1911, a time when scientific understanding was limited, medical and forensic practices were basic, and burial customs were far simpler than they are today. The existing definitions do not align with current public health practices, modern burial and cremation technologies, or the evolving legal and cultural environment of Fiji. Section 2, Mr. Speaker, modernizes the Act by introducing 4 key definitions that enhance clarity, enforcement, and regulatory consistency. This is one of the most significant updates. The new definition now encompasses bodies, organs, tissue, limbs, bone, ashes, and any anatomical material, whether attached or detached, preserved or dissected. Mr. Speaker, this is essential because human remains are now involved in numerous medical procedures like autopsies, amputation, transplant, research, and clinical interventions. Without a clear legal definition, ambiguity exists around the treatment, storage, transportation, or disposal of body parts. This amendment ensures respect, accountability, and proper oversight at every stage. It closes the long-term standing gap and safeguards human dignity. On the burial ground definition, Mr. Speaker, it is more encompassing now. It reflects modern practices with burial site today are not limited to just open soil plots. They now include structured facilities used by diverse communities and the different faiths. This clarity will support better planning, compliance, and environmental oversight, especially in urban and peri-urban areas. In strengthening the public health regulatory control, Mr. Speaker, precise definition are a foundation of effective law. You cannot enforce what you do not clearly define. This update support the public health safety, environmental protection, placing of corpse in the ground, and respect for the dignity and cultural right for families, and the proper operational of burial and cremation facilities. Section 2 now provide better clarity of our law, which has lacked in over 110 years. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, while these amendments seem technical, they are fundamental. They modernize our legal understanding of burial, cremation, and the handling of body parts, ensuring Fiji's legal framework is clear, respectful, enforceable, and aligned with international best public health practices standard. I fully support this amendment, and now I leave Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank the Assistant Minister, Honorable Ramanao. I now next call on the next speaker, the Honorable Joseph Nand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rise today to contribute to the debate on the Burial and Cremation Amendment Bill 2025. We stand here as representatives tasked with governing all aspects of our citizens' life, but none is more fundamental, more emotionally charged than the final dignity we afford our departed loved ones. Our funeral is not merely a formality. It is one of the most solemn, heartfelt rituals of human existence. It is the final expression of respect, love, and closure for the family in mourning. Speaker, for every Fijian, regardless of faith or background, the ability to bury or cremate a family member in a peaceful, regulated, and safe environment is not a privilege. It is a sacred right and a fundamental expectation of a civilized state. The current law, Mr. Speaker, the Principal Act date back to 1911, 114 years ago. Our legislative framework for burial has been far too long stagnant. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I stand on this side of the House to offer the opposition's unequivocal support for the principles of this bill. We commend the Honourable Minister and the government for finally bringing forward this long overdue modernization. This is a vital step towards securing the dignity of our people. Mr. Speaker, say the bill successfully addresses several archaic elements, and we commend them. First one is the necessary harmonization of the law by converting yards to meters, that is clause 4, is a welcome technical correction. Next is the inclusion of body parts and provision for columbaria and mausoleums in the definition, that is clause 2, that acknowledges the growing acceptance of cremation and modern interment practices. Lastly, most crucially, the increase in penalties across the board is necessary. A $200 fine for illegal barriers is no deterrent in 2025. A new $5,000 fine for burying in an unlicensed ground finally reflects the gravity of the offense. The Speaker say there are essential positive changes. The Speaker say our duty in this honorable house is to ensure that the law, untouched for about a century, is not just amended, but truly future-proofed. Having passed the committee stage, our focus now is securing concrete policy to address the remaining challenges. It is our responsibility to explicitly protect our sacred spaces from vandalism and criminal trespass. Public submission, particularly those from the Rewanga Nabua Crematorium Committee, have highlighted the severe and disturbing issue of cemeteries being misused for public disorder, theft, and desecration of graves. They are sadly being treated like nightclubs and dumping grounds. With clause 6 that increases the fine for disorderly behavior from 50 to 1,000, I hope this remains a deterrent to those that commit this grievous offense of desecration and vandalism. I hope that the Minister would commit to immediately develop a new operational policy framework that clearly defines and enables zero tolerance enforcement of vandalism and trespass in our burial grounds. This framework shall prioritize the use of community-based corrections for offenders, ensuring they are asked to repair the very spaces that they have damaged. The second important issue is sustainability and the looming land crisis. The Fiji Correction Service warns that major urban cemeteries like Suva and Sinu will be exhausted in the next 10 to 15 years. This is a national emergency demanding a policy response, not just a legislative one. We request the Minister to commit to developing a national cemetery land acquisition and leasing strategy within 12 months. This strategy should proactively involve the Ministry of Lands and Itoki Lands Board Trust to secure and in collaboration between the Ministry of Multi-Ethnic Affairs so that funding is available to pay for the goodwill to the landowners of the cemetery when the lease expires. Mr. Speaker, I would like to draw the attention of this House on the case of Kawakawa Cemetery, situated in Kawakawa, Wengel, Lambasa. The lease for the cemetery had expired, and the members had to raise funds to pay for a goodwill of $11,000 to the landowners through Itoki Lands Board. This area is a small farming community, and management and the members of the cemetery had to work hard trying to acquire funds to make this payment. I am being told that the management has applied for assistance from Ministry of Multi-Ethnic Affairs, and they have been promised for partial assistance. I ask the ministry to fully pay this amount to the Itoki Lands Board so that the management and the members can have their contributions back. At this juncture, I'd like to thank the Minister for Multi-Ethnic Affairs for funding the Bilalebu Cemetery Bridge in Singatoka. Thank you, Minister. Mr. Speaker, I ask the government to give full additional fund in the next budget to the Ministry of Multi-Ethnic Affairs so that the payments on any cemetery lease expiry can be facilitated, no matter in which part of the country it is situated. Speaker, I once again thank the management of Kawakawa Cemetery and its members for taking a proactive stand in securing the lease. I also wholeheartedly thank the Itoki Lands Board and the landowners for consenting to the lease renewal of the Kawakawa Cemetery, which is our only burial place in the greater Kawakawa area. Mr. Speaker, with this, I fully support the motion before the House. Thank you, sir.
I thank the Honorable Joseph Nand. I call on the Minister and Acting Attorney, Honorable Turangan.
Rise to contribute to the debate on the Burial and Cremation Amendment Bill 2025. The bill seeks to amend the Burial and Cremation Act of 1911 to modernize outdated piece of legislation, strengthen public health and regulatory compliance, clarify ministerial authority and accountability, and address long-standing gaps in the current act. In doing so, the bill supports and complements the operational realities faced by the Fiji Correction Service, which is responsible for the upkeep of all designated public graves under the Burial and Cremations Act. Fiji currently has 7 public cemeteries: Suva, Nasinu, Tabukumbu, Waturekuka, Nasoba, and Balawa are operational, while Watuanga is now full. On average, 10 to 12 burials take place across these public cemeteries every day at a cost of $36.50 per plot. Mr. Speaker, the pressure on available land for public burials underscore the importance of modernizing the law. Super Cemetery is projected to be fully utilized by 2030, just 5 years from now, while Nasiru is projected to be fully exhausted by 2040, approximately 15 years from today. Tapakumbu and Waturekuka have sufficient land to cater for the next 25 years. But no new land has yet been identified for future expansion of public cemeteries nationwide. Fiji Corrections Service incurs operational costs of about $800 to $1,000 per month to maintain the major public cemeteries. These pressures highlight the need for clearer, modern regulatory framework that supports safe, orderly, and dignified burial and cremation services. The bill addresses this challenge firstly by amending Section 2 of the Act to introduce updated definition for terms such as body parts, burial grounds, and minister. It also amends Section 5 to provide clearer specification for the location of burial grounds and crematoriums, modernizing outdated reference to yards and replacing them with standard measurement in meters. Further, the bill amends Section 4, 7, and 8 to strengthen penalties for burying in unlicensed ground, for breaches of regulation, and for other offenses relating to burial and cremation. These amendments are crucial to maintaining public health standards and ensuring compliance with modern expectations. Overall, Mr. Speaker, these amendments are necessary to ensure that Fiji's burial and cremation laws meet contemporary public health needs, reflect modern administrative practice, and uphold dignity and order in the future in the management of human remains, particularly as land availability becomes increasingly constrained. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, I support the bill.
I thank the Minister and the Acting Attorney, Honorable Turang. I call on Honorable Koya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So I'd be very brief. I think enough has been said. But mostly, so I think the bill before the House is really a facilitative one, because it's quite an old one. I think, I'm not sure if some of us were actually born around that time. It's 1911. And it's so old on a lighter side, so the measurement in it was still in the imperial. So, and that's been amended also. So all in all, so I think the amendments have been dealt with by the Honorable Acting Attorney General in terms of the offences too, with respect to the definitions also have been changed with respect to burial grounds, etc. Registration issues with respect to new burial grounds. In our consultation exercise, there are quite a few burial grounds that exist that are still not quite registered. They were just inquisitive about how it can be done. The representative from the Ministry of Health who actually came with us informed them how to do it. Honourable Speaker, there are certain places around Fiji where the landowners have given up land for burial for either a family or a community, etc. You know, we must remember they actually give these places up for life at the end of the day. So the land will never be of any use to it. So, and that kind of relationship has existed and it was never really formalized. So the process of registration will require it to be formalized so that it actually can be registered within the ministry as a proper burial ground, and otherwise they'll get fined for burying somebody in a unregistered burial ground. So all of that information was quite given out to the general public, but all in all, I think it was gladly accepted. And as I said, the amendments in the bill are actually quite simple. They're not very hard to understand, and I think they were sorely needed. But complete support for this particular bill before the House, Honourable Speaker.
I thank the Honourable Faiz Koya. I will now call upon the Minister for Health and Medical Services, Dr. Ratulal Malawi, to speak in reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I thank each and every member who has spoken in support of the bill. In supporting this bill. We passed this bill to ensure that it is modernized, that has been rightly said. But that's just the first step, and still a lot to do in terms of ensuring that burial grounds throughout the country are formalized, as rightly said by the Honorable Koya. And the bill, in its direction, will intend to do that. I recognize the comments from Honorable Nunn in terms of the vandalism. Yes, that's something that we as a community do not condone, especially as we view burial sites as sacred because of our loved ones' final resting place. And that is something, in the regulation or in ensuring contents of the work that is to be carried forth by not only the corrections and the Ministry of Health through the health inspectors. We intend to ensure that they are looked after very well. And also the comments from Honorable Bala in terms of the mortuary safekeeping. Yes, Honorable Bala, that the comment is noted, and we'll definitely try and ensure that it is implemented. But nevertheless, Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Ministry of Health and Medical Services, I sincerely thank each and every one of the members of the Standing Committee, and as well of the all those that have spoken in support of the bill. Now, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Minister. Now vote. The question is pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Thursday, 2nd of October 2025, that the Burial and Cremation Amendment Bill 2035 be debated, voted upon, and be passed. Does any member oppose the motion? No. As no member opposes, the motion is agreed to unanimously. Secretary General.
A bill for an act to amend the Burial and Cremation Act 1911, enacted by the Parliament of the Republic of Fiji.
Honourable members, we will now deal with the fifth bill. And I now call upon the Minister for Health and Medical Services, the Honourable Dr. Rato Antonio Lolomalavu, to move his motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Thursday, 2nd of October 2025, I move that the Quarantine Bill of 2025 be debated, voted upon, and be passed.
Is there a seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Leader of the government in house, second, and now call upon the Minister to speak on his motion.
Speaker, sir, the Quarantine Act of 1964 has governed Fiji's quarantine system for almost 6 decades. The Act contains 9 sections, supported by 52 regulations and 21 rules, and has been in force since 1st of January 1965. The Act is administered by the Ministry of Health and Medical Services. At present, it recognizes 4 seaports, Suva, Lautoka, Levuka, Northala Bay for seaplanes, and 2 airports, Nadi and Osori. No comprehensive review of the Act has been undertaken since its commencement, despite significant changes in global health regulations, transportation, tourism, and border control practices. And I've mentioned this before in the rationale of the review. One is the tourism sector request for updated health clearance fees that has been addressed in the bill. New ports of entry declared but not legally recognized. FRCS has recently declared new ports of entry, but these have not been formally incorporated into the Act. As a result, they cannot legally operate as quarantines port of entries, and their quarantine procedures lack formal statutory backing. There's the absence of a gazetted anchorage or mooring grounds, and the new port of entries do not have designated quarantine anchorage areas for vessels awaiting pratik, and this creates operational challenges and health security risks. I've mentioned the outdated fees and cost recovery mechanisms, and that is, I welcome the the comments from the committee in terms of the cost recovery mechanisms as well. And the alignment with international health regulations. The Act predates global regulatory frameworks such as the World Health Organization's international health regulations, and it must be updated to ensure Fiji's compliance with core health surveillance capabilities, port of entry public health requirements, and international health emergency procedures. And the intended amendments of the Act in Section 2 update the definition of vessel. In Section 3, the appointment of quarantine officers. Section 7, offenses and penalties. And Section 9, disposal and recovery of charges and expenses, and raise fixed penalties for non-compliance to 1,000 to reflect the actual cost of recovery and enforcement requirements. Honorable Speaker, sir, updating the Quarantine Act of 1964 is essential to modernize Fiji's border health system, align national law with international standards, support tourism and maritime sectors, and ensure effective, safe operation of new and existing port of entry. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Minister, the Honourable Dr. Ratulal Malawu. Honourable members, the floor is now open for debate. I have a list of speakers. I first call on the Honourable Johnny Usmati.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I thank the Minister for bringing the bill to Parliament on to amend the Quarantine Act, and I think he has spelled out the major features of the bill. And if you look at the bill in itself, in terms of the red ink, there is not that much change that is in the bill, so it's not a very large bill. Some of the key features of this bill, Mr. Speaker, sir, is the way in which what it has done. It's expanded the definition of what is covered, of the coverage of the bill, including yachts and super yachts. It's transferred powers from the Minister to the Permanent Secretary, so keeping operational arms within the executive itself. It's also introduced a system of graduated enforcement to try to make sure that you ensure compliance, fixed penalty notices leading to fines and higher things. So it gives an opportunity for people to do the right thing. And it also increases penalties for agents and those that fail to comply with the quarantine allegations, Mr. Speaker, sir. So there's a number of very good changes that we have seen in the bill as it has been presented, Mr. Speaker, sir. As I've said before, if there are a number of issues that needs to be covered here, some of the challenges in the bill that might still need to be looked at into the future is that while the penalties are increased, safeguards would also need to be looked at, especially when you're talking about the minor administrative mistakes that might lead to severe penalties. Criminalizing or the failure to pay fixed penalties. If a fixed penalty is not paid, the person becomes criminally liable. So that can also have an escalation for the people that are concerned there, Mr. Speaker, sir. I think in terms of the coverage of the bill, one of the things that I'd like to, I think the bill itself is fairly clear. If there were issues that submitters brought up, it was not about the contents of the bill itself, but a lot about the way in which it is managed. But those are things that will be covered in processes and so forth. About trying to streamline, eliminate duplication, about how the boats are checked and the aeroplanes are checked. So I think that is the only challenge that is in this particular bill. But nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, there's always, in quarantine, there's always your focus on trying to make sure that diseases don't come into the country. At the same time, for the ships and the aeroplanes, they want their turnaround time to be fast. So it's always a question of finding the balance between these two things. So I think a lot of the submitters, they did not express a lot of issues with the penalties and so forth, but just a duplication of the process, bringing things together. There are some suggestions in some countries where the same person does the work of the customs, the health inspection, and so forth. So it's a way of just streamlining. So it's not about matters in the bill themselves, but making sure all these things work together so we can achieve those twin aims, making sure that diseases don't come in, and at the same time, help the companies to succeed. So with that, I support the bills.
Thank you, Honourable Usmati. Our next speaker is the Assistant Minister, Honourable Tumbona.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I would just like to contribute to the debate on the Act to amend the Quarantine Act. I'll just make a very short statement. It's worth repeating again that we need to protect Fiji's health, and it's the responsibility of every citizen of this country. Every pest or disease that enters Fiji threatens our food security, our economy, and our way of life. Unlike the larger nations, we do not have endless resources to eradicate new pests or disease that comes into our country. There was some incursion of disease that particularly relating to crops a few years back. One of those is fall armyworm. This pest has the potential to devastate maize production in Fiji, and its impact goes beyond the farms. It's reduced sales, affect household incomes, food availability, etc. One of also the incursion that came through our port in the last few months was Bactrocera facilis, or the Tongan fruit fly. A fruit fly that is endemic to Tonga poses a severe threat to Fiji's food industry. This pest lays eggs in a wide range of fruits, causing high losses and market rejection. And when they were trying to taste this, it was due to the non-supervision of the boats that were coming into the country. So I think it's quite important that those that are responsible for ensuring boats are checked adequately, so that we don't have quite a lot of incursion of this sort of fruit flies into our country. The quarantine laws are quite important, and it's quite very critical that they are being updated. So this bill modernizes our Quarantine Act to reflect today's realities, and it ensures decisions are scientifically based and updates that are law to correctly reflect our existing organizational structure and control points. Also, quarantine is not a barrier, it is an enabler. It opens the markets also for us when we want to export also to overseas. Mr. Speaker, sir, this August House will need to acknowledge and put quarantine high on our agenda so as to protect our country, protect our health, our livelihoods, biodiversity, and food security. This is Fiji's contribution to better production and better health for all. I commend this bill to the House. Thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Tumbuna. I call next on Honorable Fayaskoya.
So
Your
my
name
apologies.
is here. Are you...
No, that's fine, sir. My apologies. I thought we had cut the numbers. But in short, we support the bill, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, our last speaker is the leader of the opposition, Honorable Seriratu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'll be just very brief. Of course, we do support the bill, but it's timely as well. There has been a few amendments since 1964. I believe 1970 was one, and then in 2010, because of the changing dynamics and the nature of infectious diseases as well. To be honest, Honorable Speaker, I was confused between the quarantine laws of 1964 and the Biosecurity Act. There are some similarities and perhaps some duplication as well, and probably something that we need to consider for the future. There's compartmentalization and clear demarcation of responsibilities, but probably in some instances we might need to have omnibus laws, bring some of this together, because I think it will also contribute to economizing, being cost effective in the way that we do. Probably something that needs to be considered. But I was confused between the two, the Biosecurity Act but the roles are quite clear. One deals with agricultural and environmental, including pests and other diseases, and the Quarantine Act is quite clear. I will not go into the clauses, Honorable Speaker, sir. But of course, to say that, in fact, I had a good experience of this during COVID, when NDMO was asked to provide its sea legs operated by the Navy for the yachts and super yachts, which are now included in this amendment and based in Danarau, where they have to go out. I know, I see Tonga in the gallery. They are well aware of that operation, and I had a bit of experience on this, and that is why I strongly support the bill. Thank you.
Thank the Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Seruratu. I will now call upon the Honorable Minister to speak in reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank each and every member that have contributed in support of the bill. Summary, sir, the bill is very much an important aspect of healthcare and preventable healthcare service delivery here in Fiji. And, you know, our health inspectors that do look after the bill, do guardians of the legislation, as rightly said by Honorable Leader of Opposition. I was hoping that the standing committee would also have that experience as well. I'm not sure if they ever went out to outside of the port and boarded the ship outside the berthing area, but it is, I'm told it is an experience. I was hoping they would have gone and I would have tagged along, but it's something in the health inspectors that we have, Honorable Speaker, sir, at the moment it's dominated by females, and you know, they do these things day in, day out, ensuring that Fiji is safe and from you know, quarantine by following the quarantine laws and ensuring that it is implemented. And I also welcome the comments made by Honorable Samate in terms of the operational aspect of it. Yes, it's, I fully agree with it. And in all, I just would like to thank our team through the Ministry of Health, from the health inspectors, the technical team, from their leader, Loke, Mr. Rama, Simeli, Mr. Tong is sitting in the gallery, Lucy. For some reason, they call themselves Guru Watu, Mr. Speaker. So I don't know why. But yes, and in addition, I thank the Standing Committee for the role it has played in ensuring that the bill before us is a bipartisan one. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Minister, the Honorable Dr. Ratu Lalumalabu. Parliament will now vote. The question is pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Thursday, 2nd of October 2025, that the Quarantine Amendment Bill of 2025 be debated, voted upon, and be passed. Does any member oppose the motion? As no member opposes, the motion is agreed to unanimously. Secretary General.
A bill for an act to amend the Quarantine Act 1964, enacted by the Parliament of the Republic of Fiji.
Honourable members, we will now deal with the sixth bill. And I now call upon the Prime Minister and the Minister for Foreign Affairs and External Trade, Civil Service and Public Enterprises, the Honorable Sitwendra Bhugat, to move his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Wednesday, the 3rd of December, I move that the Registration of Skilled Professionals Repeal Bill 2025 be debated, voted upon, and be passed.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Honorable Rofli Bitwisawau, second. I remind the honourable members that pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Wednesday, the 3rd of December 2025, the debate on the bill will be limited to 1 hour. So I now call first on the Honourable Prime Minister to speak on his motion.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Speaker, sir, Honorable Ministers and Assistant Ministers, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Members of Parliament. I rise to support and commend this bill before us for the Registration of Skilled Professionals Repeal Bill 2025, and to lay out the reasons that this repeal is necessary, responsible, and is in the long-term national interest. When the Registration of Skilled Professionals Act of 2016 was introduced, it was 9 years into the reign of the previous administration, who dismantled the Advanced Passenger Information System, the API, that was established in 2005. Now the coalition government is in the process of re-establishing the API 20 years after we had the system to manage people movement across our borders. Further, Mr. Speaker, sir, on the movement of skilled peoples, this came after the previous administration's earlier effort to share the overflow of our skills into the Melanesian countries, a move that was squarely rejected by the MSG member states in 2012 at a meeting at the Trade Winds Hotel in Lamy. At the time, the premise was that Fiji had excess skills and it wanted to offload some of those skills to and personnel to the other countries. 4 years later, this act, the Registration of Skilled Professionals Act 2016, argued that Fiji faced acute skills shortages and long delays in processing foreign professionals. The act then established the Skilled Professionals Evaluation Committee, I shall call committee from now on, to process applications with a claim that it was a faster pathway for recruitment. It certainly allowed quicker assessment and registration of foreign professionals where domestic expertise was not immediately available. Somewhere along the line, the location policy that was there to protect local jobs disappeared. Over the past year, the practical limitations of the SPEC, of the committee system, have become very clear. The operation of SPEC had created significant structural and governance issues. SPEC directives had overridden or bypassed statutory professional bodies and government agencies, causing confusion and undermining established registration processes. The Secretariat, run by a single officer, had not been able to sustain the workload of due diligence checks, labor market analysis, professional consultation, and administrative responsibilities. The government assumed that a centralized body would be more efficient in processing applications. However, the medical professional bodies and other professional councils and boards, the issue of efficiency is a misnomer. Professional boards and councils, as well as immigration department. The committee represents the placement of economic interests of businesses and business owners
to secure their foreign workers. SPEC power to overrule professional assessments of their professionals supersedes people's health care, protection, and safety, as well as for the security of our nation. The Act was framed as being in the national interest that professionals entering Fiji's workforce meet a certain standard. If the national interest means lowering the standard and discriminate against our own citizens and open our immigration system to potential abuse by business owners, then the law had achieved its goal. The most immediate impact was purported transfer of authority over initial qualification assessment from the professional boards to the committee. It now appears that boards and councils no longer directly evaluate foreign qualifications. Now that SPEC's responsibility, that was the responsibility. The RSP Act had only invested SPEC with the functions in Section 6 to identify the need for skilled professionals in specialized fields and evaluate applications of skilled professionals, issue directives regarding the employment of skilled professionals to provide a mechanism to expedite the registration of skilled professionals of foreigners who have trained outside of Fiji. These functions are more policy-driven than technical. A major concern has been that SPEC assessment process, while intended to standardize other professional bodies' assessment systems, hadn't always delivered the best policy directions which professional bodies could take in the assessment of foreign professionals' applications. Overriding professional bodies' decision by the committee assessments have been a persistent issue, increasing the number of professionals working and seeking to work in Fiji and creating confusion for the professional boards and councils. There have also been concerns about the consistency of the committee's evaluations compared to what the professional board previously considered acceptable. These issues have been consistently raised by the professional bodies, including the Fiji Pharmaceutical Society, the Pharmacists Profession Board, and the Fiji Medical Association, as well as by several government ministries. As recently as the 26th of November, that's 9 days ago, the Fiji Pharmacy Professions Board wrote to the chairperson of the committee, pleading for the standards of Fiji pharmacy profession. The board has a legal mandate to regulate the pharmacy practice in the public interest, and by the extension to protect the health and safety of public from harm by persons practicing pharmacy in the country. There were some tests and examinations introduced, and one comment that came up after that was these candidates are not ready to sit exams this month. We offer time off to candidates to study, given an urgency to begin working, etc., etc. The board advised SPEC that compliance with the board conditions not optional, and were invited that candidates must take the oral exam on the 26th of November. The board cited conditions on temporary practicing licenses to prevent pharmacists coming through the Skilled Professionals Evaluation Committee on two grounds: temporary licenses and also for them to be able to complete the test by a certain date. Mr. Speaker, sir, I intend to complete this statement in my reply. Thank you very much.
I thank the Honorable Prime Minister. I first call on the Minister for Health, the Honorable Ratu Antonio Lalabalavu, for his contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I rise in support of the bill that is before the House. Bill on the registration of skilled professionals bill to repeal in 2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, from the Ministry of Health, we've been very transparent in acknowledging, yes, there is a shortage of pharmacists within Fiji, but nevertheless, that is not the reason why, as Honorable Minister of Immigration has mentioned yesterday, to open another door. Because, in our opinion, it kinds of lowers the standard of our practitioners. And when you lower the standard, you know, the effect of it goes to the general public. And just to be brief, you know, the outcome of registration of Professional Act of 2016, when it was introduced and passed, it had little or no consultation with the relevant stakeholders. And just to elaborate the impact furthermore, as the Honorable Prime Minister has mentioned, in 2016, to elaborate the impact of the Act in action since 2016 to date, none of the foreign pharmacists who were approved by SPEC since 2016 to practice in Fiji have passed the board registration examination that our FNU trained pharmacists are required to pass in order to practice in Fiji. And in the latest board examination held in 2025, none of the 6 SPEC approved pharmacists who took SET oral examination passed, while none of the 7 SPEC approved pharmacists who SET the written examination passed. And it was also noted that medical doctors who came through the SPEC approval process struggled to practice in Fiji and also found difficulties in getting employment in the public health sector due to their limited scope of skills and expertise. And while we acknowledge the intent behind the establishment of the Act and SPEC, and the implementation of the Act puts the health of our people at risk from the lack of scrutiny, Honorable Speaker, sir. And we therefore support the bill to repeal the registration of the Skilled Professional Act of 2016. Now, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Minister of Health. I call next on the Honorable Ludwig Maharaj.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before I start, I'd like to again declare my interest with regards to this particular bill. Honorable Speaker, while the previous administration and its method have been replaced, we must now not throw the baby out with the bathwater. The necessity that drove the creation of the legislation remain acutely felt across our economy and our public service. Fiji has a persistent and dangerous shortage of skilled professionals. The shortage in critical fields like specialized health care, ophthalmologists, optometrists, pharmacists outside Suva, as mentioned, are not political talking points. They are matters of public health safety. The inability of Fijian in a remote area like Taveuni and Bar to access specialized doctor due to bureaucratic hurdles is moral failing on our part. And recently we actually had a medical officer from Tavua, I believe, is on record saying that they are lacking staff, professionals who can actually run a health center. For example, Honorable Speaker, I've been trying to open a retail pharmacy in Levuka and Taveuni, but we just don't have pharmacists in Fiji to work in those remote areas. That will be left to become a reality as locals, they don't want to go to maritime islands to practice, or even anyone does not, is not viable for anyone to pay the amount requested by the local pharmacists, thus leading to citizens in rural areas in getting quality health care. In public sector, Honorable Speaker, all pharmacies in health center are operated by pharmacy assistants, not even pharmacists. No, or forget about being registered pharmacists. Honorable Minister of Health just spoke about standard. Where is the standard in the health centers when we don't even have pharmacists practicing pharmacy in the health center or nursing station? We have unqualified professionals. Pharmacy assistants are unqualified. They don't have any degree, any diploma, any certificate, and they are dispensing Schedule 4 medication. Schedule 4 medication are only supposed to be dispensed by a pharmacist, a registered pharmacist on a prescription. But here we have that we are actually taking the standard down, and on the other side, when it comes to private sector, we are saying that the standard might go down if we actually get graduate pharmacists from overseas to work in the pharmacy. Previously, Minister suggested that they are talking about getting pharmacists from India, but pharmacists from India are not even recognized in Fiji. Would we change the law just because we need pharmacists in public sector? When it comes to the private sector, industry is told to follow the current archive law. When it comes to retail pharmacy, pharmacy cannot operate without a pharmacist on premises. But in public sector, pharmacy assistants are dispensing Schedule 4 medication. What happens to patient safety when a non-qualified personnel is dispensing medication in health center and nursing station? Why hasn't the Pharmacy Profession Board increased the number of exams in a year? They only hold either 1 or 2. The pharmacy graduates are one who are paying thousands of dollars to sit for this particular exam. Government doesn't fork out money in this particular exam. So why can't we increase the number of exams in a year so that we can have more graduate pharmacists coming out as registered pharmacists who can fill in this gap? Nobody is looking into this, but we are trying to close down on spec. These are some serious issues that needs to be sorted out, and just repealing this act and no change to other legislation won't make any sense. Similarly, our economy cannot grow without access to specialized engineers, IT professionals, and other highly skilled technical workers. Repealing this act with an immediate robust replacement mechanism will only exacerbate the current brain drain and suppress foreign investment. This is the most critical point. We cannot simply revert to the status quo. The 2016 Act was a response to the outdated and often protectionist professionalism legislation that predates our economic realities. And I must say this, Fiji Pharmaceuticals is mostly dominated by pharmacists and not pharmacy owners. Pharmacy owners are the ones who are doing investment and giving employment to pharmacists. Pharmacists, they will always try to stop pharmacists coming from abroad to work in a pharmacy, and the pharmacy owners are the ones trying to do the investment to take pharmacy service to the rural areas, as I just elaborated earlier on. They are trying to be practitioners in terms of their own profession. They know if pharmacists that come from overseas, the pay would go down, there will be high competition, and that is one of the reasons why Fiji Pharmaceutical Society has always been critical about spec. Professional bodies, while essential for maintaining standard, often became gatekeepers, imposing conditions on qualified foreign expertise. This created a system designed to protect local practitioners rather than prioritizing the national need of service delivery. The mechanism of the Skilled Professional Evaluation Committee that consisted of 5 permanent secretaries was first to establish if there is a gap in terms of skill shortage, and then was intended to expedite registration to meet an agent need. The old system meant significant delays that translated to real-world consequences like unstaffed hospital, medical centers, and stalled infrastructure projects. Yes, we can have one door with immigration. After getting approval from the spec, immigration can say no to the visa if the individual doesn't meet the immigration requirement. So just because of one clause, we don't need to remove the whole act. Therefore, I urge that the bill should not be repealed in isolation. If the government is determined to remove the 2016 Act, they have an urgent and immediate obligation to introduce concurrent legislation that addresses the following: retention of expedited process, and 2, urgent review on licensing acts. Honorable Speaker, to simply repeal this law is to declare that the skill shortage crisis has been solved, or worse, that we are willing to let it worsen. We must retain the enabling environment to create while reforming the governance structure to ensure transparency and accountability. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Honorable Maharaj. I invite next the Assistant Minister, Honorable Ravanao.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise today to express my strong support to the repeal of the Registration of Skilled Workers Act 2016 and its related matters. Before I go on, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to to say something about what Honorable Maharaj has alluded to. We are not saying that the overseas graduates cannot come to Fiji. We are only saying that they go through our established process in recruitment and also in contracted employment in public sector and also in private sector. As alluded to by the Honorable Minister for Health, numbers have gone through the board exam for pharmacists. They all failed, those that came through the specs. So that speaks volume. And also for the assistant pharmacists that are working in our public sector, they do not work alone. They work under supervision of a qualified pharmacist. So I rise today, Mr. Speaker, sir, to support the repeal of this Registration of Skilled Workers Act 2016, which, as correctly mentioned by the Honorable Prime Minister, it has a duplicated process that compromises the vital checks and balance that safeguard public safety, protect our national interests, and uphold professional integrity. These are not minor issues, Mr. Speaker. In the health sector, they are matters of life and death. Health professionals, doctors, dentists, nurses, pharmacists, lab scientists, medical imaging technologists, dental lab technicians, oral health practitioners are individuals whose hands directly impact the lives of our citizens. Their competency determines survival, recovery, disability, or death. Therefore, rigorous sector-specific vetting is not optional. It is essential and it is mandatory, Mr. Speaker. Fiji already has a long-established statutory authorities entrusted by this very parliament to regulate these professions. The Fiji Medical and Dental Council, Fiji Nursing Council, the Pharmacy Profession Board, the Allied Health Professional Council, immigration authorities. These bodies, Mr. Speaker, possess the legal mandate, the technical expertise, and system necessary to verify qualification, assess competence, uphold ethical standards, and license professional practicing in Fiji. However, the Registration of Skilled Workers Act 2016 attempts to create a parallel pathway, essentially a shortcut for skilled profession to enter Fiji outside of this proper regulatory framework. Mr. Speaker, shortcuts in healthcare are dangerous. They open the door to bogus medical, dental, and nursing practitioners, individuals with fraudulent and unverified qualifications, professions who are deregistered or blacklisted in their other countries, people without peer review or any evidence of continual professional development or competency assessment, one qualified surgeon in an operating theater, one fraudulent dentist holding a drill, one untrained nurse administering medications. Mr. Speaker, the consequences can be catastrophic. It is precisely why regulatory council exists. They protect the public from such risk, not to be bypassed by another parallel law. The gaps in the 2016 Act are even more concerning. It neglects the mandatory system of CPDs, peer review, and monitoring and evaluation, all essentials for the renewal of their annual practicing license. Globally, CPD and peer review are non-negotiable safeguards. Peer review ensures accountability. CPD keeps professionals current and competent. Monitoring and evaluation guarantee adherence to standard. Without this, we risk our health professionals practicing outdated techniques, unsafe procedures, unverified clinical judgment, something no health system can afford. Furthermore, the Act failed to address the regulation of expatriate lecturers that are teaching in our College of Medicine, Nursing and Health Science, in the Umanand Prasad Medical School in Soweni, and also the Sangam Institute of Nursing in Lambasa. Anyone involved in training for Fiji's health workforce must be properly registered, vetted, and subjected to internal policy, Mr. Speaker. We cannot allow unverified individuals to shape our health professional future and weakens both the service delivery and the workforce development. Fiji need now not emotion but efficiency within existing statutory council, efficiency in vetting their license. So the repealing of the Registration of Skilled Works Act and with its related matters will restore clarity, strengthen our regulatory authority, integrity, safeguard our borders, protect public safety, reaffirm the authority of the professional bodies established by this very parliament. So, Mr. Speaker, our citizens entrust their lives daily to our health professionals. We must ensure that every individual who touches or treats our Fijians are competent, ethical, and fully verified. These are the reasons I strongly and unequivocally support the repeal of the Registration of Skilled Workers Act 2016 and its related matters. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Honorable Now I call next on the Honorable Chania Sumati.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. On this, on the motion on the repeal of the program to bring in the skilled professionals, I've always been a person that believed in standards, making sure that we meet standards, and I think all of us always want fit and proper people in all the specialist fields to be able to provide the service that is needed, whether it's in the medical field or engineering field or any other field. That was always my view about this. But there's always also been these big problems of the professional bodies, the slow manner in which they do the things that they're supposed to do in screening the people that have to come to them. Often, as I've known in the brief time that I have in the medical sector and other sectors, that people have their own agenda and they view things, a lot of them view the things, the kind of programs that I went to are the only good ones there are. The kind of programs that I went to from the countries that I went to, these qualifications. That's something that's across the board in all different types of professional bodies. So a lot of them become gatekeepers for bringing people like themselves into the field. Now it's important for us to get fit and proper people from all agencies. There are mechanisms in Fiji to cross-check qualifications. We have the Fiji Higher Education Qualifications Framework Council. It works with other agencies to be able to vet qualifications. But a lot of times when you're relying on these professional bodies, they try to, because it's obvious sometimes, if there's a bigger supply of people in a particular field, the price for that service will go down. So a lot of them try to keep it amongst themselves. I don't say that that happens all the time, but it does happen. And there's another truth that we have in the country. We do have skill shortages. We do have skill shortages. What do we need? We need people with the right qualifications to be able to come in and to be able to do the job. If those that are tasked with the job of maintaining the standards are looking at it in a particular way that might really reflect the competency of people doing the job, then that needs to be relooked at. As we said, here we talk about the need for skilled people to be able to do the job. But even as it's been pointed out by the Honorable Alvik Maharaj, even in nursing stations, nurses dispense medicine. Even in health centers, there are particular medicines that need to be dispensed by pharmacists are being dispensed by the people that are there. The Honorable Assistant Minister said that there are people that they work under. Those people might be in the subdivision hospital. They might be in the division hospital, but they are not there on site. So here we have an example of two standards being applied differently. So when we are looking at this, we need to look at all of these different pictures. If there's gatekeeping going on, turf protection, and using the idea of the qualifications from this country are not as good as that one, how can these medical people be able to do that without a formal analysis being done? So one of the worries that we have here, we think it's important that we get the right caliber of people, but we're not too sure that enough work has been done to really look at the figures and how it's being done and how the qualifications are being looked at. If the standards being used by these professional bodies are saying we only accept people that graduated from Fiji, Australia, New Zealand, and UK, and we're not accepting people from Vietnam and Philippines and China, why is it that that's the way it is? That needs to be relooked at. Those things need to be looked at objectively, because the people that are making these standards, they are saying only the qualifications from the places that we studied are good enough. But that's only from their own perception. We need third party to look at it and make an objective assessment. So we believe, from our side of the House, that this is a move by government. Perhaps we need to take time to take it back to committee. Review, look at all the parameters all around this to make sure that the professional bodies are not being managed by people that are trying to protect their own turf. But at the end of the day, we also be able to address our skill shortage, because we do have severe skill shortages in this country, especially at the professional end. And we believe that it might be better to take this back to committee, give us some time. And if it is found that it is possible to go down this path, then we go. So along those lines, Mr. Speaker, sir, I do not endorse this bill.
Thank the Honorable Usamante. I now invite the Minister, Honorable Nopoto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise in support of Bill 44 of 2025, which is to repeal the Registration of Skilled Professionals Act 2016. Mr. Speaker, this repeal is necessary, amongst other reasons, to protect the integrity of Fiji's immigration system, to strengthen national security and ensure clear and consistent processing of all foreign professionals entering our country. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Act was introduced maybe to facilitate skilled migration. However, in practice, it has created legislative duplication, operational confusion, and a parallel approval system, another new door, that undermines Fiji's unified immigration governance. The Act, Mr. Speaker, creates an alternative pathway for foreign professionals to enter Fiji. In this process, applications are evaluated externally by the committee with decisions made outside the immigration framework. And after the application is assessed by the SPEC, the committee, the ministry then receives an email notification to issue the permit. And the ministry does not have access to the information or documents submitted with the application to SPEC. We had to turn one down because the person that they wanted the work permit for was a prohibited immigrant. The work carried out by SPEC duplicates and sometimes conflicts with the work already undertaken by immigration under the Immigration Act 2003 and its regulation. Worse still, Mr. Speaker, sir, some applications received through the SPEC process do not meet the mandatory documentary requirements for work permit. I talked about that medical doctor that was a prohibited immigrant. Mr. Speaker, sir, repealing the Act will restore a single unified system where all work permit applications are lodged directly with the Ministry of Immigration, which was the case before this Act came in 2016. And this allows the ministry to fully assess, decide, and process applications under the clear authority of the Immigration Act 2003 and its regulation. And the unified process means no duplication, stronger security screening, consistent permit standards. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to assure those that want to employ skilled professionals that you still can by lodging your application through the immigration work permit approval system. We have been, immigration, even though the Act existed, we have been processing and issuing work permits to medical professions for private hospitals. Pacific Healthcare, Cyprema, Oceania, and we also grant the exemptions to those medical professions that come in and work for the Ministry of Health. So there you go. You can still apply for foreign professionals through the Immigration Act. Repealing this Act will not leave a gap. Repealing this Act will not leave a gap for those that want to employ foreign professionals. There is that line that is available in immigration, which was there before, and as I've said, we are still even doing that right now by approving, processing the work permits that come through us, and they're now working in our private hospitals and even in our public hospitals. I support the bill that's before the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank the Minister, Honorable Nopoto. I invite next the The Minister and Acting Attorney, Honorable Turanga.
So I fully support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now call on our last speaker, the Honorable Assistant Minister Tunambuna. The Minister, my apologies.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also wish to contribute to the debate on the Act to repeal the registration of skilled professionals. Bill number 44 of 2025. I agree with the points raised by Leader of Opposition that the Registration of Skilled Professional Act was introduced when there was a situation of shortage of scarce skills resources. It was a situation when we were trying to master our strategies to handle the increase in staff movement outside the ministry and outside Fiji. These staff shortages still remain to some degree as we speak, but I am sure different ministries and departments have been handling this situation differently. Skill shortages are also being felt in Australia and New Zealand, and I had been reliably informed that this is a global trend. I will want to highlight in the House experiences that I have faced when the Act was introduced in 2016. As the Director for Animal Health and Production, then, I had a delegated authority as a register of veterinary surgeons under the Veterinary Surgery Act. The Veterinary Surgeons Act, even though old, had a schedule that listed all the universities that we can recognize. Only those that graduate from those universities can be registered and to practice in Fiji. The purpose of that was to make sure that we employ qualified vets of recognized standards. This is essential so that we can maintain an upward growth to our livestock sector and maintain a disease-free status that we had. Honorable Speaker, sir, to be very frank, I could not recall if there was any consultation carried out for the Act number 8. But if there was any consultation made, it did not cover those that would have been affected by the introduction of that Act. The Ministry was not aware of the fact that the Act number 8 was will have those special provision. What we know was that we started receiving veterinarians that had been registered under Act 8, but had graduated from universities that were not in the schedule of the Veterinary Surgeons Act. Some veterinary degrees have animal husbandry as content of their courses and lack the depth of veterinary knowledge. Some vets will come to our office for registration, and when they cannot meet the requirements, they will simply forward their registration as approved by that Act number 8. Weeks later, we will find those unsuccessful applicants working as veterinarians here in Fiji somewhere. We forwarded our concern and recommendation then for review of the procedures, and we waited for the answer for our concerns. But Honorable Speaker, we didn't want to lower our veterinary services in Fiji. We didn't want to have new diseases introduced to Fiji because of the risks. We didn't want to lose our disease-free status because of trade implications. We want a thriving livestock sector, and we want a disease-free Fiji. We had worked on strategies to address the shortage of staff in Fiji, and we can provide veterinarians that can register and practice here in Fiji. We started a vet course at FNU, and eventually we struggled with the process to recognize the qualification, but we succeeded at last. We now have vets graduate from FNU. We had adopted standards to qualify them on world ratings. Some of our FNU graduates had passed their qualifying exams. We had registered them now, and some of our graduates are working as vets here and also abroad. From 2016, there had been big disconnects in the information sharing on those that had been registered and that had been serving in veterinary services. This had been a challenge. The risk is high when it comes to importation of introduced veterinary drugs to Fiji, especially those drugs that contributed to antimicrobial resistance. In repealing Act number 8 of that year, we will be able to eliminate those risks and maintain our livestock sector. Honourable Speaker, sir, I support the motion before us.
I thank the Minister, the Honourable Tunambuna. I will now call on Prime Minister, the Honourable Prime Minister, to speak in reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I thank all honourable members for their participation. I thank the Honourable Maharaj for elucidating the points of concern to him, and just to assure him that there is a transition period where some of those can be heard. Speaker, sir, I thank the Honourable Minister for information, for the word he used. He said restore. That's what we're doing, Mr. Speaker, sir. We're just restoring proper statutory authority to professional bodies, clear role for immigration on issuing work permits, transparent coordination through existing ministries, stronger accountability, and less duplication. Mr. Speaker, sir, the background to the bill are very clear in the explanatory notes, and I just congratulate you on your elevation to be the Chancellor of the UniFiji. I also congratulate the Honourable Naval Rua on becoming Honorary Colonel of the 3rd Battalion of the Fiji Infantry Regiment. And with those comments, Mr. Speaker, sir, I suggest that the question be now put. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank the Honourable Prime Minister. The Parliament will now vote. The question is pursuant to resolution of Parliament on Wednesday, 3rd of December 2025, that the registration of skilled professionals repeal Bill 2025 be debated, voted upon, and be passed. Does any member oppose the motion? There being opposition, the Parliament will now vote. Open the vote. Close the vote.
The results of the vote as follows: 34 ayes, 10 noes, and 11 have not voted.
Vote is as followed: 34 ayes, 10 noes, 11 not voted. The motion is agreed to by majority vote. Secretary General.
A bill for an act to repeal the Registration of Skilled Professionals Act 2016 and for related matters enacted by the Parliament of the Republic of Fiji.
Shouldering on. Honourable members, we will now deal with the 7th bill, and I will now call upon the Minister for Health and Medical Services, the Honourable Dr. Ratu Antonio Lalmalavu, to move his motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Wednesday, 3rd December of 2025, I move that the Public Health bill of 2025 be debated and voted upon and be passed.
Is there a seconder?
Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Honorable Ratu Tusoau, second. I now remind the honorable members that pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Wednesday, the 3rd of December 2025, the debate on the bill will be limited to 1 hour. I now call on the honorable minister to speak on his motion.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to make a brief and short contribution on the bill. The bill, I believe it's straightforward in terms of the urgency and then to complement the BPAS, which is part of the project of business in Now Fiji, and it seeks to digitize building permits, reduce delays, and improve transparency and significantly enhance service delivery. It is brought as an urgent bill because once passed, an amending legislation will come into force in 12th of December, Honorable Speaker, sir. And I had mentioned yesterday that the overall bill on the public health, yes, that has been done in terms of the stakeholders' consultation through public health, and we look forward to that coming through next year. But nevertheless, we had to do this to ensure, because of the urgency of the matter pertaining to building within the Public Health Act, and that is why I commend the bill and support it.
I thank the honorable minister. Honorable members, the floor is now open for debate, and I have a list of speakers with me. I first call on the Honorable Arvik Maharaj.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to speak in support of the government's necessary and timely initiative to amend the Public Health Act by incorporating provisions, particularly those related to the regulatory oversight power found in Section 7 of the Town and Country Planning Act of 1946. The legislative alignment is a critical step towards creating smarter, safer, and more sustainable communities for all Fijians. It is an acknowledgement that public health is not merely a clinical matter, but one fundamentally linked to our physical environment, and that planned development is essential for a healthy nation. And for this reason, Honorable Speaker, I support the motion. Vinaka.
Thank you, Honorable Maharaj. I call on the Honorable the Minister Nalumisa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to lend my full support to the Public Health Amendment Bill 2025. As far as local government is concerned, as well as town planning and provisional consent, the amendment will ensure the land development planning process comes under one act, and so in this case, it was also in line with Section 7 of the Town Planning Act, and also alluded earlier by the Minister, also assist in the operationalizing of the building permit approval system. Is going to modernize the system as well as prepare us for future growth, and I fully support the bill before the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I now call on the Minister to speak in reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank each and everyone that have contributed in support of the motion. Really, everyone is in support of the motion. So I thank everyone who are here, support of the motion, and commend the motion, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. The Parliament will now vote. The question is pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Wednesday, 3rd of December 2025, that the Public Health Amendment Bill 2025 be debated, voted upon, and be passed. Does any member oppose the motion? No. As no member opposes the motion, is agreed to unanimously. Secretary General.
A bill for an act to amend the Public Health Act 1935, enacted by the Parliament of the Republic of Fiji.
Honorable members, we will now deal with the eighth and the final bill for today. So I now call upon the Minister for Justice and the Acting Attorney, the Honorable Siromir Thuranga, to move his motion.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 51, I move that the National Referendum Bill 2025 be considered by Parliament without delay. That the bill must pass through one stage at a single sitting of Parliament. That the bill must be immediately referred to the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights. That the Standing Committee must report on the bill at a sitting of Parliament next year. And that upon presentation of a report on the bill by the Standing Committee, the bill must be debated and voted upon by Parliament with the right of reply given to me as the member moving this motion.
Is there a seconder?
Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Honorable Rotiswau, second. I now call upon the Minister and the Acting Attorney to speak on his motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill marks an important milestone in our history and is critical in strengthening our democracy by ensuring that the people are heard. Under Section 132, 162B of the Constitution of the Republic of Fiji, a referendum must be conducted where a bill to amend the Constitution of the Republic of Fiji is passed, supported by at least 3/4 of members of Parliament at the second and third readings. This requirement, however, was referred by Cabinet to the Supreme Court on the 11th of June this year, pursuant to Section 91(5) of the Constitution. In particular, Cabinet sought the Supreme Court's opinion on whether an amendment proposed would be effective only if approved by the people through a referendum under Section 160 of the Constitution. The Supreme Court, in its opinion, recognized inter alia the requirements of Section 162B and read down the threshold required for referendum from 3/4 to 2/3. It further recognized Section 166 of the Constitution, however, read down the words 3/4 of the total number of registered voters to a majority of those registered voters who vote in the referendum. Given the Supreme Court's opinion and the requirement to consult on national issues, there remains a gap in this mandate, as there is no dedicated statutory framework available to give effect or any such constitution or referendum. Mr. Speaker, sir, in essence, there is a lack of legal framework to guide the conduct, administration, and oversight of referendum. This bill fills that gap by establishing clear, transparent, and accountable processes that will ensure any national referendum is carried out with integrity, order, and public confidence. The proposed National Referendum Bill 2025 will provide the legal framework which can be used to effectively conduct a national referendum. The bill sets out with precision the circumstances under which a referendum may be called, whether through constitutional requirement or a resolution of Parliament. The proposed bill comprises the following pertinent features. 1, conducting a national referendum. The grounds that allow for the conduct of a national referendum are specific to where Section 160 of the Constitution requires referendum and where Parliament, through a resolution of Parliament, determines that a specific subject matter requires the conduct of a referendum to obtain the views of the general public. The Electoral Commission to conduct the referendum is tasked with the conduct of a national referendum. This role is consistent to Section 160 of the Constitution, which requires His Excellency, the President, to refer the bill to amend the Constitution to the Electoral Commission to conduct the referendum. In terms of voting, any person who is registered under the National Register of Voters is eligible to vote. An individual may vote multiple votes in the event there is more than one issue to vote upon in the referendum. The Fijian Elections Office, to facilitate the referendum, in accordance with the proposed bill and the Electoral Act of 2014, as applicable, including the use of schools as polling station. The proposed bill provides for offense provision in relation to impersonation or voting under fictitious person, use of undue influence on another person to vote or not vote at a referendum, or in case of unlawful assembly and the operation of loudspeakers. There are expenses incurred to effect a referendum to be defrayed out of the consolidated fund. Mr. Speaker, sir, he empowers the Electoral Commission and the Supervisor of Election with the necessary authority to administer the process while also ensuring strong safeguards against undue influence, bribery, intimidation, and irregularities. The bill recognizes the sanctity of voting process by providing for voter eligibility, polling procedures, ballot integrity, and the publication of official results. It also ensures that no Fijian is disadvantaged in exercising his or her democratic right. Employers must allow reasonable time off for employees to vote. Polling day must be public holiday. Polling station must be accessible, appropriately equipped, and supported by presiding officers dedicated to upholding order and fairness. Mr. Speaker, sir, these measures are consistent with international best practice and reflect a commitment to a free and fair democratic participation. The bill also contains essential public order integrity measures, prohibiting impersonation, restricting campaign material, preventing undue influence, and ensuring that polling environments remain safe, peaceful, and free of intimidation. Mr. Speaker, sir, these are important protections that guard against interference and uphold the principle that every voter must be able to make a free and informed choice. Further, the bill provides for the judicious use of public resources, including authority for the Supervisor of Election to utilize school facilities as polling station and for related costs to be met through the consolidated fund. Mr. Speaker, sir, at its heart, the National Referendum Bill 2025 is about deepening democratic governance. It provides an orderly and trusted mechanism through which the will of people may be sought on matters of profound national importance. It empowers citizens, it protects voters, it strengthens institutions, and it ensures that when people of Fiji are called upon to make their voice heard directly, the process is fair, it's transparent, and dignified. For these reasons, Mr. Speaker, sir, I commend the National Referendum Bill 2025 to the House. Minakwa Lebu, and thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thanks to the Minister and the Acting Attorney General Turanga. Honourable members, the floor is now open for debate on the motion. At the end of the debate, we will have the right of reply from the mover. Are there any speakers, Honourable Usamati?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. This bill does not have anything to do with the Supreme Court decision. This bill is a way to try to bring to fruition the requirements of the Constitution. And we are glad that it's going to go through committees, and the committee will do its work, and we support moving of this bill to the committee so that the committee can visit. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honourable Usamati. I presume that was the only contribution from the floor. I'll now call on the Minister for Justice, the Acting Attorney, to respond.
At the end, sir, as the last speaker, the last sitting day of 2025, what we have done, sir, is basically demonstrate to our supporters, the people of Fiji, that we will implement what we promised them. That's what the other side did not do. But Mr. Speaker, sir, before I sit, it's been very a successful week for the coalition government. 6 bills. And I want to congratulate the drafting team of the Attorney General's Chambers for their hard work, 2 weeks, leadership of the Solicitor General, and also the Permanent Secretary of Justice, and those who all work towards in ensuring that a lot has been achieved. I also acknowledge the printers for the late work they have done, which enabled all these bills to be printed in time. I want to also thank the Honorable Prime Minister, sir. As we came in this year, they said we're going to last for a few days. But we are still here, sir. In fact, we've gained majority. I think come next year, half of this house will also come this year. But, sir, I want to thank the people of Fiji for their prayers, the prayer warriors, that we have maintained still leadership of this nation in the coming years. Kurang speaker pinakatalanga bale bunan no munibe luta kibinak. Memaro tang no munibe ndikitaki, munibe garabi. Kaki memaro tak tuan tuan yang baki binak ni garabi. To our families, friends, thank you for your support. We pray that come next year, we hope will be a very full and productive year. And as before I resume my seat, I also want to thank each and everyone and also offer my best wishes for Christmas and New Year.
I thank the Honorable Minister and Acting Attorney. We'll go to the vote. So the Parliament will now vote. The question is pursuant to Standing Order 51. A, that the National Referendum Bill 2025 be considered by Parliament without delay. B, that the bill must pass through one stage at a single sitting of Parliament. C, that the bill must be immediately referred to the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights. D, that the Standing Committee must report on the bill at a sitting of Parliament next year. And E, that upon presentation of the report on the bill by the Standing Committee, the bill must be debated and voted upon by Parliament with the right of reply given to the Honourable Minister as member moving this motion. Does any member oppose the motion? As no member opposes, the motion is agreed to unanimously. We now move to the final...
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, sir.
Honorable Speaker, point of order number 23 on sitting days.
Sitting date?
Yes. Can I get a chance to justify on 23 sitting days?
We're talking about the bill here? Are they connected to sitting date in the bill?
No, no. On a point of order, according to Standing Order 23,
All right,
sitting days.
one moment. I'll be with you in a minute. Right.
Honorable Speaker, with all due
Standing order, sorry, come again.
Standing Order 23,
23. Thank you.
sitting days,
Yes?
23-1. Honorable Speaker, say with all due respect to your office, we were informed that Friday's sitting is supposed to be cancelled as opposition members and everybody in the Parliament, including you, would be invited to Attorney General's conference. Somebody lied to you, Honorable Speaker, because opposition members, none of us, we have received any invitation for tomorrow. Just to bring to your attention that as agreed to in the business committee and as confirmed by you that all the opposition members are going to receive the invitation, no invitation came through. And as a clarification, I'm just letting you know through this Honorable Speaker that this is what has transpired with regards to tomorrow's sitting. And with those words, Honorable Speaker, on behalf of opposition, as the last member is speaking now, I wish everyone Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Vinaka.
Thank you. We'll take note of that point of order. Honorable Minister and Acting Attorney, do you wish to respond now or maybe at wrong?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I did not make that assurances, unfortunately. If that is the case, then I invite you all. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we are about to close, currently all the staff are in and then around. It's an open invitation. Please attend the Aegis conference. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take it, honorable members. I am terribly sorry. I seem to be caught in the middle of a storm here. The Business Committee did touch on that subject. I know that. And there was some assurance. I'll take it upon myself that I did assure that the invitation was going to come through to the members. All the members, whether it was all the members of the committee or the whole of the parliament, was going down to the conference. But it's good to hear that a verbal invitation has been issued tonight. So, all right. We will now move on to the last item on our order paper, Secretary General.
Adjournment.
I now call on the Leader of Government in Parliament, the Honourable Philippe Thuso, to move his motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Parliament adjourns until Monday, 16 February 2026 at 10 a.m.
Is there a seconder?
Honorable Speaker, I second the motion.
Honourable Manivalu, second. Parliament will now vote on the motion. The question is that Parliament adjourns until Monday, the 16th of February 2026 at 10 a.m. Does any member oppose the motion? No. Since no member opposes, the motion is therefore agreed to unanimously. That brings us to the conclusion of our sitting for this sitting period. I extend my sincere gratitude to each and every one of you for your valuable contributions throughout this week and during the third session of Parliament. For your information, Parliament will be prorogued on Monday, the 8th of December. This is not a sitting day, and by tradition, prorogation marks the formal conclusion of a parliamentary session or year with a 4-year parliamentary term. The Speaker will notify His Excellency the President of the prorogation and of the forthcoming state opening of Parliament. As honourable members are aware, His Excellency the President will deliver an address on the opening of Parliament. Once Parliament is prorogued, all parliamentary business, including sittings and standing committee proceedings on bills, motions, and reports, will be suspended until the commencement of the new session. The only exceptions will be matters deemed urgent and necessary, which will have the approval of the Speaker. Since this is our final sitting for this session for 2025, first I wish to thank each and every one of you, honourable members, for your support and your patronage of the office of the Speaker in the last year. I readily concede that I may not have seen eye to eye with some of the honourable members on both sides of the House, on some matters or issues in the course of the year. But as the saying goes, it is in the nature of the beast. This office, I suggest, would not exist if there are always agreement and unanimity amongst the leaders on any issue that confronts the nation. Be that as it may, I remain grateful that you, the honourable members, have helped me greatly in discharging the duties of this office for 2025. I thank the Honourable Prime Minister and honourable members who have expressed sentiments on my recent appointment of yesterday. As I said, this is our final sitting for this session. I take the opportunity to wish all honourable members and your families, those seated in the gallery and those following the live proceedings, and indeed everyone in Fiji and our diaspora all over the world, as well as our friends, a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year in 2026. I now declare Parliament adjourned until Monday, 16th of February, 2026 at 10 a.m.